Yeah, it's Pop Peeps, Television 77 here today, and give me 1 second. As you can see here, I have a ton of albums, currently 10, and what I'm going to be doing today is ranking the 10 albums. I'll show you the ones I have. 3 Days Grace's self-titled album, 1X, also by 3 Days Grace, Life Starts Now, of course, still by 3 Days Grace, Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park, Meteora by Linkin Park, Minutes to Midnight by Linkin Park, Loving Things by Linkin Park. No, I do not have 1,000 Suns. The Hunting Party by Linkin Park, One More Light by Linkin Park, and The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. Those are the current 10 albums I have, and today I will be ranking all of them for you. Now, let me just lay them all out here, so I can, see better. Give me 1 second. Okay. Those are all the ones I have. And like I said, I will be ranking them today. Now, probably not surprising to a lot of people, the last place for this is One More Light by Linkin Park. Now, I don't really like this album as a whole, but I will admit, I do not find it horrendous. Just bad. I mean, Linkin Park has gone for a few different styles, and it has succeeded with a few of them. But One More Light is the style that stuck out the most, and not in a good way, by a decent margin. Now, the main reason why, in my opinion, is because Linkin Park tried to shift to a pop style with this final album. Now, some positives I will say about this album. Well, first and foremost, I'm going to mention the most obvious thing right here, right now, and that's the 9th track. I mean, especially after Chester's suicide, this track just means so much more, and it hurts so much to listen to the self-titled song on this album. And now to the other thing, I will say, a lot of the songs in here are quite catchy, and at the same time, they pulled off pop better than most pop bands. So, while I consider this the worst of the Linkin Park albums so far, before listening to 1,000 Suns, which is probably better, I don't really try to think of it as the worst, just the 7th best. Which I know may be controversial. Okay. Oh boy, am I gonna get hate for this one. But 3 Days Grace self-titled album. I mean, for one, so many of the songs sound too similar when you take out the lyrics. The instrumental sounds similar, and even, if the lyrics were all the same, the vocals sound far too similar. It's the same kind of tone in Gontia's vocals for, let's see, Burn, Now or Never, Drown, and, Let You Down. Then Wake Up also kind of sounds similar to those. And I'm not even mentioning Just Like You right now, but honestly, Just Like You is my least favorite song on this album, simply because it's so repetitive. I mean, people may like to bring up The Good Life, but although The Good Life may have been slightly more repetitive or slightly less, I don't remember which, at least that tried to do some variations and things other than the 3 words, The Good Life. I mean, it had, well, differences on the amount of notes it take to get, well, the amount of notes from line to line before the chorus starts, I'll say. At least it did that one, Just Like You barely does that. I mean, it's the same amount of notes before it says Just Like You. The chorus is exactly the same the entire way through, not even an attempt at changing. There's no instrumental to cool down from, well, or to hype it up after the severe lack of anything. I just find Just Like You pointless and extremely overrated. Sue me. Okay, after those two, The Hunting Party. Now, people said The Hunting Party was really a quote-unquote return to form for Linkin Park. Really? No. I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked The Hunting Party just like I liked those other two albums. Just, it's a return to form? No, 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 no. This I can definitely see as much different than Hybrid Theory and Meteor or Minutes to Midnight. And I don't think that this is as good as most people think it is. Definitely, like I've already said, I don't think it's a return to form by a far amount. But this does have a lot of catchiness in pretty much every song. I mean, even wait, yeah, I think the 10th track was an instrumental, and I'd have to say it's probably up there with some of the best Linkin Park instrumentals. So, while I would not rank this album in the top 3 or in top 5 of Linkin Park, well, actually, from what I've heard, since I have 6 of the 7 Linkin Park albums, well, until I listen to 1,000 Suns, it is in the top 5 Linkin Park albums, but when I listen to 1,000 Suns, probably not. And, well, after that, Minutes to Midnight. Now, I will admit, since the original recording, which I did not get to upload when I only had 8 albums, this has grown on me. Minutes to Midnight really has started to get better and better, in my opinion, every time I listen to it. And now, my favorite Linkin Park song is also from Minutes to Midnight, that being Leave Out All the Rest. It used to be Numb. But, well, Minutes to Midnight, I can definitely see a lot of variety, and I'd say this probably, well, without a doubt, it was their most successful album that differentiated from what their original 2 albums did, but I would not rank it as top 3 Linkin Park albums. Those I have coming up. And speaking of what's coming up, Living Things. Okay, now Living Things, when I first listened to it, it was my favorite Linkin Park album then. But it's kind of worn off a bit since then. I mean, a lot of the hooks, well, they're still there, but it just doesn't hook as hard because you've already heard it a few times. I mean, the only songs that really stand out, to me at least, are I'll Be Gone, which is my current number 2 for favorite Linkin Park songs, with Numb now being at number 3, and Castle of Glass and Burn It Down. But aside from those 3, I don't really remember much at all of Living Things. But I will say that a lot of these songs are extremely underrated, and tracks like Roads Untraveled are good cooldowns after a short, insane song like Victimize, and a good way to transition into something like Skin to Bone. Then the beginning and ending tracks, well, probably the best beginning and ending tracks of any Linkin Park album, except for how Meteor ended out with Numb. And, actually, and Hybrid Theory started with Paper Cuts, so, Yeah, but this album has the best combination of the beginning song and end song. Even though Hybrid Theory's beginning song is better and Meteor's end song is better. Okay. Give me 1 second. And currently, we only have 6 albums. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. 5 albums left. Wait. Okay. There we go. So it looks better. Now, okay. This next one is extremely difficult. And this is where it starts to get into 10 out of 10. Well, Living Thing is actually, I'd say a 9 out of 10 actually. But these albums are where it starts to get to 10 out of 10 territory. And the first of these, as much as it pains me to choose it, Life Starts Now. This being, a really amazing 3 Days Grace album. And I don't think it's as good as the one I'll get to coming up, but holy shit, I can't name a single song on this album that I don't think is amazing. Last Snow is absolutely heart incinerating, crushes your emotions the entire way through. When tracks like World So Cold carry that energy, but also have a similar amount of emotion, and Break and The Good Life, just powerful rockers, headbangers that you can listen to on repeat over and over again. And then you have tracks like Life Starts Now. Now, soon I will be doing a comparison about why I believe the semi-self-titled tracks and Human and Outsider are bad, being Human Race and I Am an Outsider. But, I'm just going to compare in that video mainly to the self-titled tracks on Life Starts Now and 1X. But anyways, there's Life Starts Now. And a Hybrid Theory is next. Definitely a fucking 10 out of 10 album. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, it has some of the most iconic songs in Linkin Park's discography, with some of them being One Step Closer, In the End, and Crawling. Now, like I said, I believe this has the best opening song out of any Linkin Park album, being Paper Cut. It's a brilliant way to open the album, and while I think it kind of went out on a bit of an underwhelming way, on Pushing Me Away, and I think something like, yeah, I'd say Runaway would probably be the best closer for this album. This definitely was a brilliant album, and I will not be able to complain too much about it. Okay, now we are in the top 3, and any of these, it hurts so much to pick over the other. Just a quick view of the 3 that are left. But I'd have to go with Meteora. This definitely is the best Linkin Park album. It's between Meteor and Hybrid Theory without a doubt, but in my opinion, Meteor is just slightly better because it ends on a much better note and it doesn't kind of slow the momentum down. But Session was kind of it kind of ruined the momentum, just like Disenchanted kind of ruined the momentum in the Black Parade. But, then picked it right back up. And, yeah. But let me just read off some of the music videos and the singles in this album. Let's see. Somewhere I Belong. Faint. Breaking the Habit. Numb. 4 top 10 most popular when it comes to Linkin Park. And some extremely underrated tracks, in my opinion: Hit the Floor, Lying From You, Don't Stay. Oh, so many of these are amazing. Easy 10 out of 10 album, but I gotta get going because it's close to the end of the recording limit for me. Okay, now these last two. I already knew what number one will be, and it hurts putting anything below that, while putting anything that I mentioned, except for maybe the bottom 4 or 5 below this, but I mean below the number one, but 1X. Now, my top 3 favorite bands list. I said 30 Days Grace was at number 3 and Linkin Park was at number 2. Has that changed? I am not completely sure yet. But let me gloss over some of the songs in 1X. Pain, Animal I Become, Riot, Never Too Late, Let It Die. Easy top 10 songs, and Let It Die, I think, is extremely underrated. Definitely one of the best in their discography, in my opinion. And, well, from beginning to end, this just keeps on with the momentum, and, it puts everything exactly where it needs to be, and 1X is a brilliant album ender. It is extremely inspirational and amazing to listen to. But, of course, there's only one album left now. But, let's do a recap before we get to there. One More Light, and last. 3 Days Grace self-titled album, second last. The Hunting Party, third last. Minutes to Midnight, fourth last. Living Things, fifth last. Life Starts Now, sixth last. Hybrid Theory, seventh last. Meteora, third place. 1X, second place. And The Black Parade in first. This album is my favorite album of all time for damn good reason. It keeps everything. The order, for one, it's just so brilliant. It has some of the best songs from MCR. And while I don't really care for Disenchanted all that much, I still like it. And I will say it is a good song, despite the fact that I have my beef with it. But this album overall, I mean, it's just beyond comparison to any other album, in my opinion. This has far too much going for it for me to put it anywhere below the number one spot. It's just so brilliant from beginning to end to the middle. It just never loses anything. And that's my ranking of the 10 albums I currently own. I may come back when I have more albums to do another ranking video. But anyways, guys, this has been Typhlosion77, and I'm out of the house. Bye!